Hi everyone, it's post-podcast Matthew. I just wanted to give a little bit of a discussion because I talk about suicide in regards to a book that I have read. It's very, very brief in this podcast, but if you aren't wanting to listen about suicide, that's okay. I just wanted to give that discussion before the episode starts. Have a great day. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Two Shores, One Story. I'm your host, Matthew, and today I have some questions for you. The first question, have you ever watched a hospital show that you can't stop watching? Could it be Grey's Anatomy, or House, or something else? Now, I have a second question. Have you ever wanted to learn about surgery after watching that show? No? Well, I have. The show I can't stop watching is called Dr. X. Have you heard of it? Basically, a long time ago, I watched the first season of this show, but last December I restarted from season 1, and I just started binging it. I watched it every day. It also helped that I was in winter vacation, so I had a lot of time on my hands, so I watched show after show after show. Now I'm on the 4th season. And that's been going a little bit more slowly, but I still love it. Now, for those who don't know, what is Dr. X about? I tried to find a synopsis, but I had trouble, so I made my own. So I hope it describes the show well enough. The show is basically this. A freelance doctor, Daimon Michiko, played by Ryoko Yonekura, visits hospital to hospital, challenging colleagues and higher-ups alike by going against the hospital politics. Or should I say, hospolitics. She is a confident surgeon who doesn't care about whether a patient is rich or poor, or popular or famous. She will always help no matter what. When faced with difficult surgeries, other doctors are hesitant, but Michiko Daimon goes head on with her resolve that she never fails. I don't think I did this show justice with that synopsis, but that's basically what it's about. I really fell in love with this show because of the character Daimon Michiko, because she has a really strong personality, which is evident right from the get-go. She goes beyond what is expected of her and does many difficult surgeries with ease compared to her colleagues. I seem to love Japanese stories that are based on societal problems. For example, I really enjoyed a book called Chotto Imekara Shigoto o Yamete Kuru, or I'm Going to Quit My Job Now, because it talked about being in a really terrible company, and karoshi, which is the suicide due to overtime work, maybe? Something like that. It was super interesting for me and really easy to read because it was still fiction, but it was in real life, and I could relate to the problem. Not that I'm in a bad company or not, but it was easy for me to understand rather than complete fantasy. And Dr. X is the same. Even though I'm not a doctor, I'm a teacher, I still think it's a really interesting show. And even with the difficult vocabulary, I don't really have trouble understanding what's going on. I watched the show with Japanese subtitles, and I still don't have any trouble. And actually, I've learned a lot of words just by watching this show. And I became really interested in Dr. X, and since I had some free time during work, I decided to study some vocab related to hospitals and surgery. And it wasn't boring. I was actually really motivated to start learning and do research on what words exist in the surgery realm, sorry. I'm actually so interested in Dr. X and surgery terms that I was at the bookstore one day and I found a book that is fiction still, but it's set in a hospital and it's about a research doctor who just graduated from university. I just started reading it, but I really like it, and it allows me to still practice the words I learned, and I learn a lot more words too because I'm reading. So it's really interesting how I've become interested in surgery and that kind of stuff just by watching a show. And yeah, I think it's really cool to hear the words in context as I'm watching the show. And I've had a conversation recently with one of my friends, and we were discussing how important it is to learn a second language in context. And I struggle to do this so much because I feel the need. I feel that I have to use my textbook in order to learn Japanese. That's how I started. I started learning Japanese through Genki, and then I got Minna no Nihongo and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it was really me just being able to use the language in the context that I was able to really improve my language skills. Like being in Japan, like the last time I was in Japan, my language skills increased exponentially because I was living in Japan. I was immersed in Japan, in Japanese and that kind of stuff. And yeah, in the past, like I learned a lot of vocabulary just by listening to J-pop songs over and over again. I would hear a word over and over. I would notice it more, and I would like, oh, I wonder what that word means. And I would search it and like, oh, that's what it is. And then I would hear it again, and it would become more concrete in my brain. That's how our brain works when learning languages. And watching Netflix is no exception to that. Just by watching the same show over and over again, and although the story isn't the same because I'm watching like episodes, I'm learning a lot of words. I hear a lot of similar words, and it's really cool. Will I learn these, or will I use these terms in everyday speech? In the case of Dr. X, maybe not, because I won't be talking about lens every day. But I know the words for body parts in English, so why shouldn't I know them in Japanese? And there might be an issue with one of my body parts isn't working. Hopefully not. But I know the words. I can say like, oh, I think my lens aren't doing that well. Actually, funny story. If I watched Dr. X when I was in Japan, I would have probably had less worry about certain things. Because one time, I was in the clinic many times during my last time in Japan. I got sick many times. I injured myself many times. Well, maybe not injured, but I got sick a lot. Anyways, one time my RA, my residence assistant, and I went to the doctor, and I don't know what I had, but there's something in my lens I forget what it was. But anyways, they were talking, and I heard the word kansa, and I thought I had cancer. And I was so sad. I was like, oh my gosh. I was in the x-ray room, and I was like praying. I was like, Lord God, please eradicate this cancer. Like, I really want to live my life in this exchange. But that's not, kansa isn't the word for cancer in Japanese. It's gun. And I would have known that if I watched Dr. X. Kansa, I think, means like inspection or something. Like you need to get like a x-ray. So that makes sense. They said kansa, and then I'm in the x-ray room. But I didn't clue in then. I was silly and, freaked out. So Dr. X could have helped me there. I could have learned that stuff in context. So, if you are learning a second language, and maybe you're tired of learning from a textbook, or the textbook just isn't working for you, I urge you just to sit down with your favorite beverage or a snack and just watch Netflix. Find a show you like. Watch it over and over again. And maybe you can do some active study by, I don't know that word. I can jot it down, put it in my Anki, have the sentence there, that kind of stuff. And you'll never know what you'll be able to learn and how easy it will come because you have that context. I'm very interested in hearing what shows you guys are watching, and maybe let me know what words you've learned. I have Instagram, Facebook. I post my podcast on YouTube, so you can put comments on there. And I would be really, really interested in hearing what you have to watch because I always need recommendations. So please let me know in the comments. Until then, I will see you later.